Hello, welcome. Glad to have you guys here today. Welcome to Geek Devotions. Today, guys, it's going to be a little bit different. I had a plan. I had an idea for Cthulhuary. We're going to do an anime, and I was really excited about the anime. I wanted the anime to be good. Like, I tried. I really did. I was like, let's get an anime in. Yes. And I wanted it to be good so we could talk about it. And I had talking points. Talking points were there to be had. I had a list. Anime wasn't good. So, backtrack. So this week, we're not talking about an anime. We're talking about instead a really interesting Lovecraftian story involving Batman. And we're going to be talking about when life is really terrible. We ask ourselves, what's the point? Like, what's our role in things sometimes? And trusting in God to take care of that. That's what we're talking about today. That, and also, I'm going to drink this because I'm tired. Hello, Devoted Geeks, and welcome to Geek Devotions, a show from Devoted Geeks who are devoted to letting you know that you are loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you hit the play button today. If you're new to our show, we take geek pop culture items like movies, video games, comic books, and we use them to let you know that you're loved. So if you don't watch past this moment right here, right now, know this. You're loved, cared for. There is a plan and a purpose for your life. Don't give up. Oh, I don't know if I like it. Told you I was going to do that. So this month is Cthulhuary, where we'll be taking a look at Lovecraftian fiction stories and using them to let people know love, which is really interesting because when you look at a lot of Lovecraftian fiction, there's a lot of doom and gloom, a lot of despair, a lot of hopelessness. And we're trying to pull some hope out of these things and point you guys to hope. For those of you who are hardcore Lovecraftian fans, and for just people in general who are just looking for a little bit of hope, I took on a book this week, guys. I looked at a book that was really interesting. That was recommended to me. It was called Batman and the Doom That Came to Gotham, which was a really interesting book. I want to encourage you guys to check it out because I legitimately enjoyed it. If you like Lovecraftian fiction, if you like Batman stuff, if you like Elseworlds, that's a big deal. You guys know me. I love Elseworld stories. This may be your niche. It takes place in like the 1920s, and Batman, well, he's a little bit different. There's a lot of strange things taking place in Gotham, and Batman, Bruce Wayne is having to deal with a lot of interesting things that are basically dealing with the sins of his family, which isn't unusual. We see this take place quite often with the Gates of Gotham and several other stories that have been put out there, but this has a deeper, darker tone. There is a deep, dark secret literally underneath Gotham that Bruce has to handle, and he's been gone for 20 years. 20 years he's been out there doing his thing. He's become Batman. He's got his group of individuals. He has Dick, he has Tim, he has Jason, and so he has a semblance of what we know as Batman, but things aren't right in Gotham. And there is this strange force calling calling Ra's al Ghul to release him, basically. And it's really fascinating. And what hit me interesting was in the midst of it, you have Oliver Queen, Green Arrow, and he knows what's happening. He's aware of this deep, dark secrets taking place in Gotham and in the role that his and Bruce's family has in it. And so he tries to take care of the situation. He's prepped himself to handle the situation, to kill this doomful thing that's come to Gotham. What Oliver didn't realize is that 20 years before, Bruce was really tasked with having to handle this. There was something about Bruce that only he could handle the situation at hand. And there were emotions set in place that while they weren't his doing, he didn't cause us to do it. It wasn't something that was like, hey, this is going to happen to you. He's suffering the sins of sinful world, of sinful people. He's being positioned strategically to handle this in a real way. And sure enough, Oliver, he tries to step in and handle it, but it wasn't his place. It was Bruce's, and Bruce has to save the day. I'm not going to spoil it too much because it really is a fascinating story. I want to encourage you guys to read it. But it got my wheels turning about this whole conversation of how we live in a world of doom and gloom. We do. I mean, let's be real. The world's not great. There's terrible things taking place. And I get annoyed with people who like, they tried to make it sound like, all these terrible things are just, fine. They're not fine. These are the product of sinful man. Let's be real. The terrible things you see taking place in the world, that's not God's doing. This is the product of sinful man doing terrible, terrible thing. The question becomes, where do we fit in? How is there hope? How is there goodness for us to operate in? And how does God position us within the situation? If you will, real quick, open your Bible and go to Romans chapter 8, verse 28 with me. And we know for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Guys, I'm bringing that. In this passage, we see a really interesting concept that God works all things to the good of those who love him. What does that mean? How does that play out? That's not saying that, all of a sudden life is going to be rainbows and sunshine. No, He works things out, meaning as you do life, as you go through life and you go through certain situations and sometimes some very terrible situations, God will work those out to your good and to his glory. He will make these things work out as we trust him, as we put our faith and our trust in him, our faith that he's going to take care of things, our trust that his ways are the better way for us to live our life. He's going to work this out for our good. Some problem is a lot of people, they have this mindset that this is like an instantaneous thing. Like I said before, it's not sunshine and rainbows. This is a lifelong thing that has to take place. If you will, take a look at the story of Joesph. You go all the way back to the book of Genesis, and Joesph had a terrible life. I mean, terrible life. His brothers didn't trust him or didn't like him, and they sold him to slavery, and he was in prison, and then like he got out, and then like he was doing some cool stuff, and then he went back to prison, and then he was forgotten about. But then he gets out. And something interesting takes place because of his faithfulness to God, because of everything that's taken place over the years. God has set him up in such a situation, in such a way that he actually ended up being kind of like co-leader of all of Egypt. It's kind of it's a structural thing. It's a thing, but he was the reason that Egypt survived one of the greatest famines ever. He's the reason his family survived. God worked things out to his good because he was faithful, because he loved God. Again, sometimes life is terrible and there's some terrible situations in it. But for those of us who trust in the Lord, we not only find out that we have the things are worked out to our good, but we actually have a pivotal role in helping other individuals. There are things in your life that only you can do, that only you can to operate in and reach people and help people. And that's only because you have allowed yourself to trust God and allow him to position you in a specific place. There are places that I can't go, that I can't comprehend how to help people because I've not been on a journey that leads that way. However, you as an individual, you right there who's listening, watching this video right now, you do have the ability to help other individuals in a way that I could not. If you're willing to trust God to guide you and direct you. And what's cool, again, this whole thing about, he works all things to good. We have this mindset that's all about me. It's not, guys. It's not about me. It's about us helping other individuals and glorifying God in the process. When Bruce Wayne, 20 years beforehand in the story, experienced what he experienced and went on this journey, it wasn't good, but it wasn't just for his good that he grew out of this thing. It was for the good of Gotham. He had to go on a journey so he could be prepared to take care of certain things. When Joesph went on his journey through the book of Genesis, it wasn't just for him, it was for the good of the people. My challenge to you guys is this: trust the Lord. Trust that his ways are better than your ways. Trust that he's going to take care of you. Trust that the situation he puts you in, that he guides you to, that he will use you faithfully, not just to help yourself, but to help others. Because there are missions in life. There are people that need to be reached. There are people who need to know that they're loved and they're cared for that I can't reach. But you can. You can help those people. But you have to trust God to situate you and help you out. I want to share a quick, real life story about this, all right? I just got back from a funeral before filming this. And it was really interesting because it's an extended family member. I really didn't know this individual at all, but his family I do know very well. And one of the things I've learned today, and I knew to a degree, but the pieces came together. This is an individual, this person and his family member who's much closer to me, they went through some stuff. They lived between the time period of the Great Depression and World War II. And they had to handle things. They had to take care of each other. They had to handle situations, and they grew through these terrible experiences that they lived through. Again, God didn't make these things take place for them. It was the fault of man that these terrible things took place. But God used these people. He used this gentleman who we honor today. And to this day, he has left his mark across my region. Literally. I had no idea the influence this man has had. The influence this other family member that I have has had, because God used them. They went through some tough times. He shaped them. He molded them through them as they were faithful to him. And now they're being used to reach other individuals. God can use you in the same way, to reach other individuals, to help and shape and mold people to make a difference. So don't give up today. You may be in a bad situation right now, but let God use you through the situation so that A, you'll make it out in a better way, but B, so that you can help others too. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Geek Devotions. I hope it's encouraged you and challenged you. Your question of the week is this. Again, my source material, Batman, the Doom Became Gotham, it put Batman in Lovecraftian fiction. What genre of story would you like to see Batman placed in? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. I also want to invite you guys to check out all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Why? Because that's where we do live, guys. That's where we communicate with you guys. That's where we do a lot. So yeah, we have comment sections down here. We'll comment back and forth. But in our Discord, in our Facebook community, that's where we do live with you guys, where we can communicate and pray for each other and just encourage each other. I also want to let you guys know that Celeste and I will be at the Shreveport Bossier City Comic-Con coming up this weekend. That's right, Sunday afternoon after church, Celeste and I are going to be going up to the con to walk around, check out some stuff. If you're going to be in the area, if you want to check it out and you see us, come say hi. We'd love to see you, especially if you're a cosplayer, because we love talking to cosplayers. We love talking to anybody. But yeah, come say hi to us as we walk around the con. Again, this isn't an official status. This is just us doing live, being with other fellow geeks. Now, if in the future you'd like to see Celeste and I at this con and other cons in an official stance, again, this is not an official thing, but if you'd like to help us get to that, consider becoming one of our devoted Patreon geeks, who we want to thank right now. On the screen right now, you see all of our devoted Patreon geeks who help to support this channel for as little as $1 a month. For as little as $1 a month, they help us to keep our website going, our podcast going out, and help us to get the material we need to create encouraging content like this that you guys just experienced. And so to our devoted Patreon geeks, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys so very much for helping us out. And like I said, if you want to become a devoted Patreon geek, if you want to help us go to other cons and do other kinds of stuff, go to our website, geekdevotions.com, click the support page where you find all the information on how you can be a devoted Patreon geek or even give a one-time gift. I know this episode was a little bit different, and I apologize, guys, if this was kind of confusing or jarring from our usual content. Normally, it's really nice and clean and everything like that. This is just a little bit different. Again, it's just been a crazy week, and I really did have to change last minute because the anime I was watching just was not good enough for you guys, amazing devoted geeks, for me to work with. So, I apologize, but stick around if this is your first time, because we do all kinds of cool content, like our podcast, Comm Talk, like our other podcast, The Bottom Shelf, and our website, all kinds of cool stuff. Come be part of Geek Devotions, guys, because we love you, care about you. That's the reason why we do this. It's because we genuinely love you and we care about you. Until next time, stay devoted. Peace and love.